How much did it change too when like the explosion of like the debate shows really started to kick off? Because I feel like all those guys, like if you're on an NFL team, you're probably watching ESPN a lot just to have something on in the background, and then that stuff just recirculating all day.
ESPN was always on in the background for everybody, wasn't it? In the sports world, just always like, I don't want to say static noise, but it was. Any bar you walked into, ESPN's just up there. Yep. NFL Network though, when that started, that was the only thing that was on in a lot of NFL facilities. So when I did the NFL AM show, I used to do, like every Wednesday, I would do a hit or whatever. And I would do it, and I would check my Twitter, and I'd get some reaction, and it was like, okay, that's how I judge everything that I go on. I can tell immediately if people are listening or watching said show that I'm on, because if Twitter erupts whenever I'm on there, right? Somebody who follows me will watch it and tweet and say hello or whatever, or if I made a mistake or said something. So when I was on NFL AM, it got some action, but it wasn't like massive, right? So I was always like, I wonder how many people are actually watching this. And then when I got to the Pro Bowl, everybody that was at the Pro Bowl was like, oh, we see you every Wednesday on NFL AM. We love you or whatever. And I'm like, oh, so like, the people that are watching this, I think, are all the NFL players. Like, I got to remember that whenever I say things on this show. Like, I got to remember that the people that are watching this are probably pretty high-level football people. And I would assume that there have been people that have gotten on NFL Network or onto ESPN and have said things, and they had no idea that the person was potentially going to hear what they say because they didn't expect the world to be as small as it is right now, and probably burned a few bridges in my ideas. And that is why I'm very thankful that I've never been the, hey, this guy stinks. Well, a couple people have. We all know Alberto Riverone, that guy stinks. He has had to have heard it too, by the way, and I would assume he agrees with what I just said. But I just think those days of just sawing people down and then just like, I'll never run into them. We'll just see you later. Those are long gone. Long gone. But yeah, I would assume the debate, because those debate shows are setting you up to say things. You are put in a position. If you're there, you have to say something potentially negative. And that was Zeke was replying or referring to. He's like, you don't have to bury me to put somebody else up. Like we can both be really good. Like, you don't have to say that he's, and that's one form of debate, though. People will bury one thing and put up another. But I believe in the, hey, let's go ahead and lift everybody up, except for Alberto Riverone. Let's go ahead and lift everybody up. You know what I mean?
When you wonder whether or not those guys actually feel that way, because it's like if they're both just agreeing on one of those topics, like they might go and it's like, hey, listen, you're going to have to burn Zeke down today.
So I've been in those meetings for Get Up. I've been in those pre-production, and I always wondered, because I always assumed that when players got to TV, people just started telling him what to say, right? I was like, man, this guy isn't even, there's no way you feel that way. You've been through an entire NFL season. You know how the season can go. You know that sometimes you can drop a ball or run around. You know that. So you speaking, that's not you. Like, and every player goes, that's a sellout. That's an old player. That's a sellout. Somebody else is talking for him. And then when I got into those pre-production meetings, not once did I have anybody tell me what I should say, right? So that was I was like, okay, so maybe they're not being told. But they mention a topic, and then they ask people how they feel about it, and then I think they're like, okay, that opinion that he has and that opinion that he has will do well against each other, and I think that's how they do it. Now, Skip and Shannon,
right?
They have to debate every single day. Like, I would assume there comes a time, if it's I don't want to say a lesser important subject, but I assume if it's something they don't care as passionately about, that they go, he is very strong about this. Is there any way you could potentially, I feel that way. Like, I assume there's a little bit of that, but I always thought ex-players were being told what to say, and then I have never been told one time, like, hey, you should say this or you should say that, which is awesome. It's very, very, it's actually the complete opposite. I'll say something and they're like, oh, okay. And then Hembo goes to his computer and he's like, hey, here's 3 like legit stone cold facts and stats that you can use that will even accentuate your argument more. And I'm like, Hembo, my guy. And then Orlovsky's like, well, that's wrong. Blah, blah, blah. And I'll go, is that right? Because in boom, 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 and boom, 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 and boom, boom, boom. And then there was one time where I dropped a stat on Orlovsky, me and Orlovsky. Those Monday mornings, me, Rex Ryan, Orlovsky, and Greenberg. Those are some of my favorite times I've ever done anything.
Greatest gifts ever. Too.
Oh my God, it was so much fun. Elle was a legend in there, right? She held it down in there, and then Greenberg, he was the one who kind of put his head out or his neck out and was like, I want McAfee on the show. Like, so Greeny, I don't know if I don't know if he thought I was, or if people thought I was potentially going to ruin it, but like in my head, I was like, okay, Greeny's the one that wanted me here. So I don't want to say anything that embarrasses him, but boy, I am going to be wide open in here. And then you listen to Rex in those pre-production meetings, and when he starts telling stories, I'm like, oh, I love Rex. And then Orlovsky knows his role exactly. He knows exactly who he is. Those Monday mornings used to be so much fun. But then when Hembo would arm me with some stats, and then I know Hembo was also arming Orlovsky with some stats, it's like you walk into that studio and it's like, all right, me and my boys are going against you and your boys. Let's see if I can remember them all.
Yeah.
Like now, let's see if I can remember, because I don't like the stats written on a piece of paper in front of you, because I think that is but I mean, as I get older, I'll probably start writing more stuff down in front of me if I had to guess. But now it's just all, let's lock it in there and hope it goes. But I enjoyed those shows, but I could see how if you're a debater every single day, that at some point you're probably being told, like, is there any way you could potentially go opposite of them because of that?